What if I told you? The greatest empire the world had ever seen, one that ruled over a quarter of the planet, didn't fall because of an enemy's sword, but because of its own victory. Yes, Britain won World War I, but that victory came with a hidden curse. By the end of the war, the British Empire was bleeding, not from bullets but from within. Before we uncover how Britain's glory turned to grief, make sure you subscribe to Dusk and Times, where history's darkest truths meet the light. Because what you're about to hear will change the way you see victory forever. In 1914, Britain stood tall. The empire stretched across continents, from India to Africa, Australia to Canada. They called it the empire on which the sun never sets. London wasn't just a city, it was the heart of the world. Money, ships, soldiers, everything flowed through it. And when war broke out in Europe, Britain believed it would be quick. A short, glorious campaign to teach Germany a lesson. The soldiers even sang, "Home by Christmas." But Christmas came, and none of them went home. World War I wasn't like any war before it. It was the first industrial war. Britain, with its mighty factories, believed technology would win. But technology betrayed them. Machine guns turned fields into slaughterhouses. Artillery shells rained down for days. Gas filled the trenches, silent, choking, merciless. Men who once worked in peaceful towns became ghosts, buried in mud, forgotten by the empire they fought for. In one day at the Battle of the Somme, 57,000 British soldiers fell. In one day, the empire was beginning to crack, but no one dared to say it. As the war dragged on, Britain's strength was bleeding away. Gold reserves vanished. Food ran short. Millions of men were dead or broken. The government began borrowing billions, mostly from the United States. The empire that had once financed the world now owed its future to someone else. The colonies too began to question. Why should they fight a European war for a crown that no longer protected them? From India to Ireland, whispers of rebellion grew louder. Britain was winning battles, but losing hearts. When the war finally ended in 1918, Britain stood among the victors. Germany was crushed. The Kaiser fled. The British flag flew proudly once more. But behind the victory parades was silence. A silence filled with grief. Every street had missing sons. Every family had an empty chair at dinner. The empire had lost nearly 1 million soldiers. And the survivors, they came home to nothing. Jobs were gone. Inflation was rising. The economy was collapsing under the weight of victory. The world had changed, and Britain didn't know how to keep up. The United States had entered the war late, but left it rich. While Britain borrowed, America lent. While British cities bombed, American factories boomed. By 1919, London was no longer the financial capital of the world. New York was. And for the first time in centuries, Britain was no longer the world's banker. It was a debtor. The empire's pride began to fade, replaced by quiet fear. They had won the war, but lost their place on the throne of global power. Across the empire, the spark of independence had been lit. In India, soldiers who fought in Europe returned home demanding freedom. In Ireland, rebellion turned into revolution. In Egypt, protests filled the streets. Britain's colonies had seen the empire's weakness, and they would never forget it. The war had broken more than bodies, it had broken the illusion that Britain was untouchable. And once that illusion was gone, the empire's end had already begun. They called them the Lost Generation. Young men who had marched off to war with songs and smiles, and returned with haunted eyes. Writers like Wilfred Owen and Siegfried Sassoon poured their pain into words, poems that stripped away the myth of glory. It is sweet and proper to die for one's country. But those who saw the trenches knew there was nothing sweet, nothing proper. Only mud, fear, and endless death. The empire that once inspired pride now carried the weight of guilt. By the 1920s, Britain was a different country. Factories stood silent. Workers protested. Strikes spread across cities. The war debt hung like a shadow, billions owed with interest. And when the Great Depression hit a decade later, the cracks turned into fractures. Britain could no longer hold the world together. And soon, it wouldn't even try. The seeds of World War II were already planted. And this time, the empire wouldn't survive it. World War I ended with Britain standing tall in the spotlight. But behind the curtains, the empire was already falling apart. The colonies demanded freedom. The economy collapsed. And a new world order was rising, led by America and the Soviet Union. By the time the Second World War ended, the British Empire was gone. India, Pakistan, and dozens of nations would break free. The empire that once ruled the seas was now a small island trying to remember its former glory. And that's the real tragedy of World War I. Britain didn't just lose men, it lost its soul. So the next time someone says Britain won World War I, remember this: sometimes winning can cost more than losing. In our next episode, we'll explore World War II, the Blitz, Churchill, and survival. If you found this story haunting, hit like, share it with someone who loves history's dark corners, and subscribe to Dusk and Times, where the past is never really gone, just waits to be remembered.